everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the start of a writing vlog, I guess I'll call this. I don't know how much active writing there's gonna be, but it's gonna be something to do with Project Second Story. Now, I wanted to originally start this back at the beginning of August, but I just wasn't quite ready to dive in to these beta feedback bits, and a few of my betas needed a little bit more time, and I currently am still waiting on one beta to get back to me. I don't know, they emailed me and told me that they weren't done. So I was like, that's fine. So who knows when I'll get that bit of feedback, but I do have 3 people's feedback back. We're gonna work off of that. I have already gone through their written feedback that is not included in the comments on the actual document that I sent them, put that in my Scrivener file, gone through it a few times, made my own notes and all that kind of stuff on that feedback. And what this vlog is going to be, I guess, me figuring out how I'm going to implement that into my story, figuring out, or actually going through the documents and seeing their comments on the specific things, and then amalgamating that into notes for myself for stuff, and then actively starting draft 2, I guess, or at least kind of jigging the story and figuring out how I'm going to fix it, because what I sent to my betas was draft 1. There's a lot of shit that I gotta fix. There's a lot of stuff that I gotta fix. I guess I should also put a reread of the book for myself into this, just so I can now that it's been a month, more than a month, it's been 6 weeks since I last looked at Project Second Story, reading it with fresh eyes is probably a good idea. So this is gonna be just an amalgamation of what comes next with Project Second Story and seeing how I can make this story even better. Because what I'm gonna do, my plan is, now that I have all their thoughts back, and I'm going to do a reread of this and then a revision, essentially, a big story specific revision, I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do a full edit of line edit. And then I'm gonna see if I can hire an editor for it. And I'm gonna actually start researching the whole self-publishing world and stuff like that. I will say that I have done a little bit of research into cover designers and artists that I wanna see what I can do with. And I have already done a little bit of research for editors specifically, and I have a whole list of stuff that I've got planned out. But I also have to figure out the actual logistics of self-publishing and book formatting and all that jazz. So that's gonna be a fairly long process, I think, because I don't even know where to start with that kind of stuff. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. I will probably be using a lot of YouTube videos and blog posts and stuff like that to see how other people have done it. Probably also asking my friend Sarah Sutton for advice if I need it or that kind of a thing. But that's this vlog is gonna be. It's gonna be all right, I've done step 1, which is write the damn thing, and I've also done low-key step 3, which is send it to betas. I haven't actually done a revision for this because I was too excited about the story and I wanted other people to read it. So I sent it out to too many people, and that's fine because I've also now got their opinions, and then I'm going to go through it myself and organize my own opinions on the book, and then I'm going to step forward with both of those in mind for this revision. I've not done this very often. I think the only other time that I've gone past a first draft in a book and sent it out to betas is for Project Dream. So the fact that I'm doing this a second time, and with the goal of self-publishing this time, not traditionally publishing like I want to do with Project Dream, Abby Carter and the Dreamlings, which is that one's title, but I want to do this one for myself, to publish it myself, which is terrifying. And then from there, I have some more fun ideas of do I want to start the second story in this once I've done another revision of this and I'm letting it sit? Do I want to then draft book 2 in this series? That could be fun. I also got the idea for another short story today when I was watching TikToks, because there's a beautiful person on TikTok, and their TikTok handle is Meg's Tea Room. One of the characters in my book is inspired by her and her TikToks. So I was watching her TikTok today and I got an inspiration for another short story that I will also include at some point. I have a bunch of short stories suddenly in this world, so I might end up also publishing a short story collection or adding short stories on to the books that I publish. Who knows what I'm gonna end up doing. Now I'm just rambling. But yes, right now I'm gonna actually run out and go get the mail. But when I come back, I'm going to start reading through Kat's comments on my actual document and see what else I can glean from them. I've gone through Kat's comments now. It is much later. I am so amped for this story again. Just like reading through comments on a document that people make as they're reading is such a fun thing. Like, it's a next level kind of annotation thing, especially as beta readers, because beta readers are, you know, reading with a more analytical brain for you. They're not just like reading for enjoyment, they're actually reading to like notice stuff. My favorite thing is when my beta readers get lost in the story and react to things in the comments. It makes me so happy, and there's a fair number of really good ones. Let me see if I can find one that I can show you that's like non-spoilery. I'm sorry, Kat, I'm gonna do this to you. There was 3 of these kind of comments on this, 3 of them, which made me giggle. There's also a moment where she misread the word Firbolg as Fire Lord and just rolled with it, and I was like, and she was like, I rolled with it for like a solid minute, and now I'm thinking of Zuko and General Iroh in Ba Sing Se, and I'm just like, this is why Kat and I would jive so well, because she even caught some of the references in here, which made me so happy. And she caught like the cyclical nature of the story and like a lot of like the tiebacks, and oh god, I love Kat so much. So thank you, Kat, for doing this for me. This is just the best, and it's just so good. The other beta reader that I have also has comments on a document, which is what I'm going to go through next to continue making notes. But the notes that I made are mainly because coming off of draft 1, 2 of the biggest notes, one of them is a plot hole right at the beginning, which I have to fix, and I think I know how to fix. I like brainstormed it in my car at the beginning of July, which is wild. But the other thing was that the point of view between Ari and Finn, sometimes they don't feel very different, and it's I just needed to like settle on a few things that are very Finn's personality, because I know Ari very, very well, as you guys know if you watched those 2 videos where I wrote a 70,000 word novel in 30 days. I know Ari very well because he was my D&D character for a while, and I've had him in my head for a long time. Finn was a little bit more enigmatic and just kind of there. He was just charm. So now I have to actually like dig into his personality and like figure out some stuff about him, which is very fun. And I was like making notes of things that I mentioned in the draft, and then things that like Kat would comment about, and then like little ideas that I had as I was going through. And then I also, of course, took notes on second draft stuff that wasn't mentioned in like Kat's final email or my other beta reader for this project. But yeah, little things. And now I don't know if you guys were privy to my, just at the end of the story, I didn't know what I wanted to call the bookstore, and then I thought I had settled on a second story. But now, having read through Kat's comments and how vehemently that she's into adventure books as a title, as like a name for the store, is making me second guess it again. And I don't know what I should call the store. I think for sure the title of the book is going to be a second story, just because of like the way the ramifications of that sentence in that, you know, in the actual story itself. But now I don't know if it should be a second story or adventure books, because beforehand this bookstore was called Arrowmount Books, and the boys were like, oh, it needs a little bit more zing, and I'm like I don't know what I should call it, and it's gonna hurt my brain, and I need other people to tell me what they want it to be called. So like, this is probably gonna be an ever-present question until the day that it is published, because, or like until the day I have to like finalize the draft. So I will be asking future readers of arcs or drafts or whatever which name they prefer for the store, which makes more of an impact, adventure books or a second story. But until then, let me know in the comments what you like better without having any context in the story at all. Only what you know from like me talking about it. That's where I'm at. I'm going to quickly start going through the other one, and I'm just gonna keep going. It is about 8:45 right now, and it is Thursday, so that means Critical Role starts in 15 minutes, and my air is coming on. So I'll catch up with you guys at some other point. You see, it's moments like this. It's moments like this that make it for me. Because this reaction has been on both of my beta readers so far on their documents. I love it. I love it. Alright friends, it is much later. I'm holed up in bed. Gone through both of Raven's and Kat's beta comments. Things are great. I've got all my stuff written down in here, and then I have transferred it into my Scrivener file. Weird side track moment, but I have on Patreon, I follow C.L. Polk, who is a wonderful author, and they recently had a like live stream to test out live streams on their Patreon, and concerning their like Scrivener setup. I wasn't able to actually attend it because I believe it was being hosted when I was teaching, but I ended up watching a little bit of the playback today before I decided to dive into my beta edits and figured out how to do some interesting stuff. So now I no longer have to create multiple Scrivener projects for my draft 1, draft 2, etc., etc. I can do it all in one thing. I can keep it all here. So we have, for example, the very first opening section here, and if you go to this little corner right here and you click that, it like doubles it. So this first one is this very first one, and then I've got draft 2 down here. So essentially I just copied this, which was originally the manuscript bit, and then and it made like a copy of it down here, and then I renamed it to draft 2, and then I went through and like deleted all of the content because I have all the content up here and I'm just gonna rewrite it as I edit, but now it's like lined up where it basically matches. So first section here is what I've clicked. It's like highlighted slightly purple, is gonna be this one, but this one we're gonna go and we're gonna put it into this one. And now I can write and then I can look at the old one simultaneously. And because I know myself and I will probably get mixed up, I've named draft 2 all of the little scenes, they start with D2, so I know as long as the chapter titles match, we're good to go. This makes my life so much easier, you have no idea. The amount of times where I've tried to balance and like exactly screen split my Scrivener projects so I could have draft 1 and then draft 2 next to each other. The fact that I can do it in one Scrivener file is just the best. But yeah, that's what I did today. I also, as I said, wrote beta feedback. So I have like under my manuscript, my draft 1 and draft 2 manuscripts, I have 2 file folders like underneath them. One of them is for short stories and one of them is for beta feedback, and I should have another folder that says just miscellaneous or everything, and that's where I'm going to put my synopsis and then my more info, which is just 2 things that I've like brainstorming things. But yes, I'm very happy with my Scrivener setup right now. Beta feedback has been read. I think next up I'm going to start actively reading through it, and like, do I just start editing now? Is that what I do? Because I could very easily start editing and going into this as like a full revision just to see that I have my, you know, notes for my beta readers all figured out, or mostly figured out. I don't think there's anything super glaring that I need to figure out now as I go through. I feel like I know what needs to change, and if I come to a big plot point that needs to change, because I think there's at least one, I will just, you know, work on that see how things land. But I'm gonna go chapter by chapter and see if I can keep it relatively chapter by chapter as I have it now. I'm pretty happy with it. It's a pretty good amount of work for day 1 of this, and I'm excited about it. I gotta think a little bit. I think before I actually like officially start diving into my edit, I gotta think about the beginning a little bit, because the beginning was the biggest issue. I think there was a glaring plot hole that like it needed to be fixed, because without it, it makes people not believe that Arya and Finn could be possible. So it needs to be fixed, because that is like the clincher for the entire romance. I gotta figure out, because I know I've had a few comments where like people are like, we want more backstory. What I gotta really figure out is how to balance this book, because in my head, the point of this book, the point of the story is them in Arrowmount and finding a life together, like settling down and that kind of stuff. Which is why later on, when there's a little bit of like action-y bits, there is a moment where I could have a full-out battle, but it feels like it doesn't fit. So I have it like leading up to it, and then immediately after you don't actually see the battle, and it works in a way that I think it really works. But because we start the story with these 2 boys like in an adventuring party, and then there's a fight like pretty close after, which is where like a bunch of information comes out about Finn and all this kind of stuff, it's really hard for me to balance that when I want to get to the actual point of the story, you know? So it's like, how much time do I devote to this beginning part before we dive into the bulk of the actual story? And it's like an 8 months later situation. Like, it's not a small enough amount of content that I can fit in like a 1 chapter prologue kind of a thing. It's multiple chapters, so I gotta figure that out before I can dive in. Before I can actually dive in and see how much extra I want to actually do in the beginning. That's where I'm at. Day one of this beta reading thing. I've read my beta's comments. I looked at the third beta's comments and they only got about 70% of the way through the story, which valid. People's lives are crazy, busy, whatever. But most of their comments were just like, nothing's driving the plot. Where's the action? That kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is cozy fantasy. There's not like action, you know? Like, of course there has to be plot and there has to be a drive, but there is a drive and it's the soft, just cozy fantasy. Like if you've read Legends and Lattes, you know. So I like read through their comments and they're all valid, but they didn't leave me like in document comments. So I only really looked at ravens and cats today. We'll see how this pans out. But yeah, I will let you know when I work on this a little more. But yeah, we're off to a good start. Friends, it is now Saturday, August 13th, and I am officially starting draft 2. I did start draft 2 today during my live stream that I had, and I have officially written 3,300 words, 3,354 words in this draft, and I'm living for it. So I ended up deciding to just start writing. I think I'm gonna, as I'm going through, instead of like doing a full reread myself, I'm going to go through it as I'm rewriting the chapters and like seeing how I can fix things as I go through in this way, just to see how it works. Because I know I said that I wanted to do a like read through of myself, make story notes and like plan out the story again, but I really just wanted to write it. So that's what we're doing. And I don't mind if I end up reaching a point where I'm like, okay, well now I have to stop and plan, then I will do so, and that doesn't bother me at all. I ended up changing chapter 2 because the first 4 chapters of the original draft 1 were all from Arlias's point of view, and that was originally my plan because I originally thought, like before I had even started writing the story, then when I was planning it out, that it was going to be like a prologue from Ari's point of view of like what happened before, and then it was going to be, all right, let me introduce the actual storyline after that. But when I started writing it, I realized that it was 4 chapters long, this prologue of mine, which doesn't work. So they're all just from Ari's point of view. But I've changed chapter 2 to Finn's point of view, and that's what I've been working on. It is so much fun to be writing this scene from Finn's point of view. It's ridiculous because now I can like seed in some of Finn's sentiments toward Ari before they had actually like gotten together, and like his point of view on stuff. It's very good. It's very good. What do you think, Frederick? It's pretty good, right? He agrees. It's very good. I'm so happy. And when I was talking to Kat, when I was originally going through the comments, I messaged Kat on Instagram and I was like, hey, like I'm going through your comments and they're making me giggle. And we got to talking about the story and like other things, and it's just making me so excited to write this series. And on my stream today, I said that for the rest of 2022, my plan is to finish the second draft of this, and once I'm done the second draft, I think I'm going to put it aside a little bit. Maybe I'll get someone else to read it one more time just to see how the story works then, and then I'm going to, during that downtime, I'm gonna start book 2, I think. Whenever that happens, I'm gonna start book 2 so that I have a draft of that ready to go. I might do another challenge where I try write an entire book in a month again, just because having that challenge and having like the, I don't know, just keeping me accountable through videos and through TikTok and stuff like that motivates the hell out of me. We'll see where I'm at mental health wise come this fall, because fall is usually the time where my mental health goes a little bit south. So we'll see how that works out, but when that happens, then the rest of 2022, I'm gonna really research all the things to do with self-publishing, specifically in Canada, because I'm Canadian as well, and then what like the American equivalent needs to be when I do publish both in like Canada and the UK, Canada and the US, and then possibly the UK as well. I don't know how that works, if it just gets released on all the platforms or if I actually have to like release it on like Amazon UK, Amazon US, Amazon Canada. Like I have to research, obviously. And then in 2023 is when the book will be published. My air has uncanny timing, but yes, that's the plan anyways. And for now, I'm just gonna get back to this and I'll talk to you guys at some other point. Hello friends, it is now Friday, August, 19th? Hi, hello. This is actually usually when I would start another weekend vlog, but because I'm going up to the cabin this weekend with my friends, I figured I would give you guys my beta reading vlog this weekend and kind of just link it into this. On top of my beta reading, I haven't really worked on it in the past couple days because I've just been kind of busy with other things and work, and you know, the life gets a little complicated. But I'm going to be continuing throughout the rest of August and into September the lovely journey I'm on of draft 2 of A Second Story. So draft 2, let me bring it up, is currently sitting at 14,701 words. I realize as well that I never updated you guys last weekend. I updated my main vlog about Project Second Story, but I didn't tell you guys that I wrote like 9,000 words in a night. And then the next day I wrote the however much to get me to like 14,000 words. So those first 2 days of like Saturday, Sunday of last weekend of actually working on the story and like writing it and getting into it again, it was just like the story just poured out of me, and I loved it. I love working on the story so much. I don't know what it is. It is such an easy story to lose myself in and to write, which is just phenomenal. So I just wanted to add that in here. So I haven't had a real big chance to work on it since last weekend, but I'm pretty happy with it. And I think it's a pretty good start as to what I want draft 2 to be and what I really want the story to be. I think from here on, I'm going to just kind of really sit with the beta reading comments and see, you know, like really think through what's gonna happen next. One of the biggest things with this project was the plot hole, sort of, right at the beginning, which is essentially just like, why would Ari even go with Finn at the beginning? Why would he do that? Because of circumstances. So I had to fix that. I had to fix it. And I think the way that I fixed it will work. I just kind of have to see how I'm gonna lay that out. What I've kind of done so far in this project is I've kind of skipped over a few chapters that I'm going to need to write fresh. Brand new chapters that I'm gonna have to come up with, and we shall see what occurs, what will happen. I've added already one chapter that is from Finn's point of view after the events that I ended up changing to fix the plot hole. Then I jumped right ahead to the next chapter where I knew like, okay, we're gonna pick up from here. So between that part, which is like the 8 months later situation and actually like starts the biggest part of the story, and the twisty conflict bit that I've got at the beginning, I guess we'll call it that, the bits between that I still have to figure out. But other than that, the rest of the changes that I've got I think are pretty small and like situational changes. They're not massive story changes. It was just this beginning one that was a massive story change. Now I gotta actually go through and make sure that my characters are charactering in the way I want them to be and that each of the point of views are distinct enough that you can tell it's Finn talking or Ari talking. That's kind of what I've got. That's kind of what I'm gonna do. So I think actually I'm going to call this vlog here, because from here, before I leave to my friend's cabin tomorrow, I don't think I'm gonna get a lot of work done. I hope you enjoyed either way, kind of looking over beta notes and like getting draft 2 of A Second Story started. Yes, my friends, do follow along if you care to for updates on A Second Story and my self-publishing journey. I never thought I'd say that, but here we are. Self-publishing journey. I have already kind of said that I want to have this out in 2023 for you guys, so I gotta get on it. I gotta get going. I gotta do my research, line things up, find an editor, find a cover designer, and just go. Definitely subscribe and join on my journey if you care to. I know I don't do as much writing content on my channel as I do like bookish content, but whatever writing content I do enjoy it. So I hope you do too. Anyways, my friends, I'll catch you in another video very, very soon. Stay kind and keep on writing.